If you would like to sign up to speak to either of the bills that will be heard today, there is a sign-up sheet on the front table. It is 2 o'clock, so I'm going to call the meeting of the House Curriculum and Academic Achievement Subcommittee to order. Representative Rice, would you mind opening us up with a word of prayer? What number are you?
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for allowing us to be here as we work on behalf of our future, our children, and just bless the words, bless our time here together, and help it be productive. In your name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. Before we get started, do we have any teachers in the audience today? No? They're all busy at work. Do we have any students? If you'll stand up, let us welcome you. Great. Thank you for being here. We're always glad to have some students come and observe the legislative process in action. Thank you, members of the committee, for coming today. We've got a couple of bills, so we're going to get started. And Chairman Irwin, if you are ready, we will be ready for you. We've got House Bill 1193. And when you get settled, if you will give us the LC number, that would be great.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairwoman. When you looked down our way, I was kind of hoping you would call on me to say the blessing. I thought I might need to pray before I got up here. So I was proud of our Vice Chair and her prayer there. And let me read our LC number to you as requested. It's LC members 492629S. So it's a substitute that we have for you today.
Thank you. And you can get started whenever you're ready.
Great. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to be before you with this bill. And the opportunity, members, to explain it to you. Let me begin like we began the press conference, that this committee has taken on improving the rates of literacy in the state of Georgia for our young students. And so I'm very proud of the efforts you have made, the digging in that you have to the topic, understanding not only where we're at, where we're going, and what we need to do. So thank you for that. We will also remind you that our chairwoman here carried House Bill 538 a few sessions ago, and it has set a fantastic precedent for our teachers, our students, and our state. And this is building on that very strong foundation that we put in the state of Georgia. So, Ms. Chairwoman, thank you for that effort and your hard work that we've seen you do for years on this topic. Members, this is a mission that we cannot ignore, and this is a mission we cannot fail. I'm going to state it one more time. This is a mission we cannot ignore and a mission we cannot fail. We must teach our children to read. We must have the belief that all of our children can read on grade level. We do a very good job of this in the medical field. We believe we can heal. We believe we can make a difference. We can improve those lives. We need that belief today in teaching our young people how to read. The bill I'm about to describe to you begins that foundation to ensure that hope is given to those children when they walk in the door, that they are going to be able to read with their peers. They are going to be able to read with other citizens of this nation at the same rate, same level, and that could then help them fulfill their dreams. I'm going to make a statement that I'd like you to listen to, because I see many of you do this, that we all can read. And I bet you today every person sitting in front of me has read something today, and you've used it, and it's generated thoughts. In some cases, it's generating dreams, and it's ability for you to dream even bigger than you do when you don't read. So think about if we could teach our children to read on grade level, how that improves their learning, but also how it improves their dreaming and what they can accomplish in life, and that you would be a part of all of those citizens of Georgia dreaming bigger and dreaming better for this state and this nation. So I'm going to begin, as I cover this with you, to tell you that we're given the hope. We can do it. We can teach every student how to read on grade level. We've got to put in a mechanism in place. It's got to support teachers. It's got to be planned. It's got to be trained. It's got to use recognized high-quality instructional materials. And then it's got to be supportive of the teachers and of the students when they go in the classroom. Now, I'm going to tell you that none of that is easy. When you were 3, 4, 5 years old and you were learning to read, you probably forgotten that it was difficult. So teaching reading is difficult. Learning to read is difficult. So it's got to be planned. It's got to be precise. And then we have to have the effort that we're going to give that hope, and we can do it. We can get them there. Now, I'll state to you, as we have stated before, more than half of our students are not reading on grade level. Matter of fact, some of our students go on to teach themselves after they graduate how to read and then try to fulfill their dreams. My challenge to you today is, let's figure this out so that we can teach them to read on grade level, so when they leave us, this state becomes better and better and better because they become better citizens. Now, I will tell you, all you would have to do is go into our prisons and our jail and check the reading level of those individuals in there. It is not good. It's not at an acceptable level. Had they been able to read, would that might have changed their life? Very likely could have. Would they might have made better decisions? Very likely could have. So with all that, I'm going to begin by covering what I think is, we've added pages. I believe we're up to 41 pages here in your bill if you look at it. And I hear a lot of us sit here at this microphone and we state this is a simple bill. You're not going to hear that from me today. This is the culmination of a lot of your work. This is the culmination of a lot of traveling, visiting successful places that are teaching literacy throughout the Southeast, and then a lot of communication with folks that do the job of trying to teach these children to read. So let me state here that one of the most important and first things here is we're putting a qualified literacy coach in the public schools and any public school that has grades K through 3. It establishes regional literacy coaches and leadership literacy coaches, and they're based at the RESUS, so they're local. Comprehensive curriculum based on professional learning and applying the science of reading. What we call in education HQIM. The HQIM is high quality instructional material, and it's aligned to the science of reading. And we're going to provide that statewide for free to one of them. Of all the HQIM, the highest quality number one, we're going to provide free to the LEA, that local education agency. It encourages families to start in school by age of 5 and that you're going to go to kindergarten. We did not move the age of compulsory attendance, but we are going to encourage. That is a belief that if we start working with them younger, we can help out and get them on grade level quicker. New and expanded roles for placement, promotion, and retention in kindergarten and first grade. Establishes the Georgia Literacy Task Force. This task force will select the HQIM and the Comprehensive Professional Learning and Universal Reading Screeners. Now, a lot of people ask me the question, I want to stop for a minute, about Universal Reading Screeners and what they are. A Universal Reader Screener is a product that is purchased and the student takes, and it diagnoses where the student is at. Some people say, is that a person we're hiring to put in the classroom next to that student? So it's a screener is what it is, not a person. And then, of course, we're requiring school systems to adopt the Unified Literacy Plan for their system. It requires ongoing evaluations of what we call the EPP programs, which is the educator preparation programs at our colleges. Requires public awareness about literacy initiatives. Folks, we need to start telling our parents the importance of reading to their children. Members, the importance of having a book. This is not the most important product you can read. I will tell you, those books in front of you, the good books, are the ones that you need to be reading, not just your cell phone. And by the way, we've got a cell phone bill held by one of the chairmans right up there that is moving through that has a lot of data about these cell phones. So the public awareness is very important throughout this entire state. And we have seen that with some of the advancements in states next to us and what they're doing and how they're using their public awareness and how the parents are then able to learn to help to chime in and be a part of this team. Ms. Chairwoman, what I'd tell you is I can go line by line, but with members in here and having read these bills and understanding where they're at, I think we might be at a stage where we can ask questions. And if you would, in this section right here, let me also say to you that we're in this bill, we are working with 0 through 5. That's the children that are not born all the way to the ones that are coming to us. Members, keep this in mind. When a citizen is born here in this state, they don't suddenly at 5 years old become our responsibility to start teaching them to read. They're our citizens. They're our students the minute they're born. And if we need to start working with mamas and dads before they're born, we need to do that and try to assist those parents when their child comes to understand exactly what they need to do. We have, because of QBE and what we fund, think that 5, they suddenly become our students. I will tell you differently. They are our kids, and they're coming to us. But if we can help them get ready and prepare to us, we need to, and this bill helps to set that up. So this is a pivot moment, Ms. Chairwoman. This is a moment for us to pivot and not get what we've been getting, and to pivot to what is best for our children to teach them to read on grade level in this state.
Thank you, Chairman Irwin, and I am so excited about this. I think that we've done so many good things over the past few years. I think I know what Chairman Chokas wants, but I'm going to call on him anyway.
Madam Chair, at the appropriate time.
Okay, I will get back to you. Let's see. I'm trying to think of who is in the right order. Are you 15, Chairman Dubnik? Okay.
So now's not the time to second his motion. No, just kidding.
In just a minute.
I know. Chairman Irwin, thank you. As I said at the press conference last week, Senator Hickman, Ms. Dale, Chairman Irwin, it's been an honor to work on this with you. I told my children that I don't think I've worked on anything in the time that I've been here that I'm as passionate about as this. I certainly did not have that on my bingo card of things that I thought God was going to have me work on when I came here, but I'm willing to stay as long as it takes for us to see this through and to see where we can go with this and how we can move the needle. And I think, Mr. Chairman, if I could you just make sure everybody on this committee understands when we say that we're putting a reading coach in every school that offers K-3, that we're not just finding someone randomly. I just want this committee to hear how the requirements that we put into place for those reading coaches, and for everybody here to understand how qualified those individuals will be to teach our youngest learners to read. Because, as I said, the ROI here is the risk of ignoring. If we don't do this, then we're ignoring the problem that's already been proliferated too long. But I'm excited to see how this moves the needle. But I just would love for you to share that, please, sir.
Great, thank you, Chairman, and thank you very much. We very supported by Ms. Dale Burns, by yourself, by many of the committee members, many members in the General Assembly, and a lot of conversation, and then, of course, the experts. So there was no possible way that we could ignore this. But to talk about those positions of those coaches, it's clearly defined in here, the job description of that person and the qualifications they must have to be employed in this role. An example we're going to give you is we want these coaches in the classroom side by side with the teachers. That's where we're going to get the bang for the buck in the coaches. And those coaches need to have, as one of their qualifications, kindergarten to 3 experience. They need to be in that grade level, understanding that child and those children's abilities and weaknesses. So it is clearly defined of who we want in there. It has come up to us during our crafting of this. Are these administrators? They are not administrators. They are not paid on an administrative role. They are teachers. They will be working with bringing the high-quality instructional material and the professional development to the local school for the teachers to have access to. And it's described in there, in this bill, what their qualifications are and exactly what they're going to do. Does that answer your question, Chairman?
Okay, I think Representative Adena, are you number 2? Yes. Okay, you can go ahead with your question.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Chair. I definitely support this bill. I think we've gone too long without the right tools, and I see some things in this bill that really excite me. Especially, I just needed some addition and clarification. In Section 4, it says, local school systems shall, used to say may, shall offer a full-day kindergarten program. It's Section 4, line 59. Yeah. So
Not line 159?
No, line 59.
Page 3.
Gotcha.
Page 3.
I'm there.
Okay. All right. So it says all local school systems shall, not may, offer a full-day kindergarten program. So that tells me, I know with some of the schools, I think there were about 16 schools in Gwinnett that did not have kindergarten, and they were identified as failing schools. And I do believe that by having kindergarten, this should definitely rectify the challenge that we have with reading. So I just want to clarify that this is shall. That means every school will have kindergarten, not may.
The answer is yes, Representative, and it says systems.
Okay.
All systems will provide kindergarten. Obviously, in a high school, you wouldn't have kindergarten, but in an elementary school, you'd have a kindergarten. So if that feeder school has a kindergarten in Gwinnett County and the kids have the option to go to that feeder school, then the answer is yes.
Okay.
To your answer. So we are providing kindergarten at all of the feeder schools, all the systems in the state of Georgia.
Oh, okay.
And the expectation is for that too. We currently get about 85% of our kids coming to kindergarten, some form of kindergarten. We need 100%. We'd love to have all of our kids come.
Okay. Madam Chair, can I have a follow-up question? Now,
Yes.
referring to the placement committee, just for clarification, I know the members identified were,
What line are you on
I
again?
don't have the line number. I just kind of pulled it out.
In the placement for the task force?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm not sure what.
Go ahead with your question.
I just want to clarify the members of that committee. So there's a principal or designee, parent or guardian, and student's teacher.
Okay, wait a minute. Now, we're on a different, that is not the task force. What you're talking about is the placement committee, whether or
okay.
not the child is being retained
Okay, yeah.
or promoted. Okay? Now, of course, that's a different committee there that is chosen when placement is happening. All right, go ahead with your question.
Yeah.
Page 7, I believe, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. How is the parent or guardian selected in that process?
Well, you know, of course, the student would have the parent or guardian And that's the mom and dad,
Okay.
the foster parents, those people. So it is that child's guardian.
Okay. Okay, thank you,
Is that-
Mr. Chair.
was that-
Yep,
yeah.
clarification, thanks.
Okay, Representative Carter.
Thank you, Madam Chair Lady. Thank you, Chairman Irwin. First, I am so appreciative that we are really making our children in the state of Georgia their education a priority. Thank you for the literacy coaches, because the research has shown that this is what we need. I hate it took us this long to get here, but it took a couple years, even though you've been doing this good work. So thank you for that. And the clarity, the further clarity about the children mandatory for kindergarten. I did see something in here that says that they could test. If they didn't go to kindergarten, they could test, and they test at first grade level, they can go. So that when I lit my light before Representative Adenia was asking that, because I know we have tried to do some legislation before with mandatory kindergarten, because we know it's important. So that was the thing that I wanted to make sure that we were clear about. We do want the children in kindergarten, but if for some reason they do not attend kindergarten and they test at the appropriate level, we won't send them back. They can go to first grade. But if they don't, they will have to attend kindergarten.
That is correct. And
Thank
what
you.
we so what you're reading in the bill, Representative, is a process by which those children that come in that have had kindergarten somewhere, they can have a readiness test that they can move them on to first grade. And that gives the educators in the local LEA the opportunity to say, hey, look, here, this child is prepared for first grade. Let's put them in first grade.
I think you made a statement something different than what I was asking. So may I further clarify so I can make sure
Okay,
we're
please.
clear? As it reads that the kindergarten, the students should attend kindergarten.
That's correct.
So what I was trying to get clarity is that we're making kindergarten mandatory.
Correct.
Kindergarten.
We are.
However, if a child doesn't go to kindergarten and they pass the assessment test, they can go to first grade.
And this is always the confusing end. We did not move the compulsory attendance date.
Okay.
So what we did, we left it at September 1st at 6 years old. And if they have not attended any place before and they come to us, they're coming to us in kindergarten,
Okay.
then we could have the option, or we would have the ability to test them and move them up based on their readiness.
Okay.
Does that?
Yes, that clears it up. Thank you.
And having throwing an educator hat back on, you know, this is a yearly discussion with your community about who's eligible, who's not eligible, who can move up, who can't. And so we have to continue to re-educate the educators and the citizens on what the compulsory attendance law says and how we get kids in kindergarten and first grade.
Thank you. Madam Pro Tem, I'll recognize you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so I just wanted to clarify some language later in the bill, line 88. Well, actually starting at 78. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that you're saying that at the discretion of the school principal or at the request of the parent or guardian, and of course who the parent or guardian that would be listened to in this case, that's specified for many other things. When a child enrolls in a school, that wouldn't change, but they would be eligible to go on to first grade if they assessed. I mean, the parents might have been teaching the child, and the child's more than ready for first grade. they could request that readiness. But further down in lines 88 through 92, by not changing the year of mandatory schooling from 6, that a parent who wants their child, although they're eligible to be in first grade, and maybe they even appear ready to be in first grade, a parent could have them attend kindergarten first. They would still retain that right. Is that
That's
true,
correct.
Mr. Chairman?
They would.
And
So that is
and
correct.
furthermore, in lines, this is a change, lines 93 through 100, the same would apply for our public pre-K. It
That's
has
correct.
been, I believe it has been the longtime policy of DECAL that parents may choose to enroll their child at either 4 or 5 in
Correct.
pre-K, but we do have some school systems who have required the child attain the age of 4, and if they were 5, they were not eligible. I believe my own school system is one of those, Fulton County, according to DECAL, and Atlanta Public Schools. This would clarify in law the policy of DECAL that a parent could choose, say, for example, a summer birthday child who technically you might think would be considered a 5-year-old, but that child could attend public pre-K, but such a child would only get 1 year. You couldn't do back-to-back, 2 years, 1 year at 4, 1 year at 5. Is that not true, Mr. Chairman?
That's true.
Thank you.
Does that clear up, Representative, I think?
I was good.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Representative Olalier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chairman Irwin, thank you so much for this bill. This is not a small feat. I know you've put in yeoman's work to get us to this point, you and many others. So I just want to start off by thanking you for this bill. You and I both shared a few stories about raising little ones. I know your grands are 2 and 4, and my boys are 2 and 4, and so this, without a doubt, just strengthens their pathway for development and success. Chairman Dubnik was pushing us in this direction earlier, and I wanted just a little bit more detail just so that I can understand what that recruitment and selection process for our literacy coaches will look like. Are we talking about repurposing current educators and shifting them into this new role if we're talking about a school that does not already have a literacy coach? And then I'm just curious, how many new roles are we thinking about creating out of the literacy coach? I know we piloted the program with great success, but it's a big push to get every single elementary school to the point of having a literacy coach present. Is there any rough estimate? I know you all are probably still crunching numbers, but is there any rough estimate that we can go off of?
Great, thanks, Representative. And thank you. We by no means did all the work. These folks behind me, many folks around us here, all were the ones that did this work, put this together. It's been a collaborative effort, and our speaker recognized the importance of this, Representative, and how it should be worked, and then steered us in that proper direction as a speaker. So let me begin. Legislative Council, if you'll look those roll lines up for me, let me answer the second part of the questions, then I'll ask you to direct us to those roles in a minute, if you would. Let me begin by again, well, I guess maybe let's start with your first question. What lines are these roles on?
Chairman, starting line 806.
And if you notice, these are minimum qualifications. And the very first one I want to point out to you is the PSC, who has already taken some great strides for literacy for us. I know the director of the PSC is sitting behind me, in there as he has joined in very heavily in this effort with us also at making sure that we have what's in place by our license group and our assessment of our license group of our EPPs. And so we are already making moves. So that should lead you to believe, Representative, that we're going to be training better with the science of reading our homegrown Georgia reading teachers. And we're going to be elevating them up with the instruction, the quality professional development that we're going to give them, and the proper tools in their hands. And so that line 808 there will tell you it's underway. And these will be, in my envision, homegrown Georgia teachers that understand the teaching of reading and the science of reading. And if you see, it goes on talking about the 5 years of documented success classroom teaching, a knowledge of scientific base reading research, a minimum duties, and it is number 2 there of what these coaches have. And again, it's limited duty if you go to page 33. And if you notice, and I have to keep continually point out, these are not administrators inside the school taking on assistant principal role. These are classroom teachers in the classroom. You also asked the numbers of how many. We're in the process of pulling that up. We know there is about 1,350 elementary schools that are going to have grades K through 3 in some form in there. Some of them could be K2, and then the next school the kid go to would be 3 through 5. Both of those schools, the K2 and the 3-5, would get a full-time coach if they're over 200 students in the school. And some say, well, it's only got one grade level. This does not limit that teacher from working with the 4th and 5th grade teachers. It is focusing on K3. But if there's a teacher that wants in 4th grade to learn about it, be a part of it, use it, get better with their students, nothing limits it. So there will be school-based literacy coaches at all elementary schools. If you're under 200 and you read this, it's a part-time, and it's based on FTEs. So the smaller schools are going to get a half. If you're through 1,000, you're going to get 1. Don't forget that a lot of systems, or a few of our systems, might be a better number, have already bought into this, and they've been buying and paying for these coaches locally for what's best. As a state, we're chiming in. And then lastly, for the long answer, Representative, we have hired in the 80s, I would have to get the exact number of reading coaches assigned at recess, working with teachers right now, and they leave the recess and go out to the schools. Clearly, 80 is not enough to cover the whole state. It was a great beginning with the Literacy Council helping direct that work, but those coaches are still going to be in place, and there's still going to be a tier of coaches that we have there. I want to stop for a moment since we're talking about RESAs. That's your regional education service agency, and they provide services to your school systems, so they are local. They know who's in the school. They know the children. That is why these coaches have been assigned to the RESAs to get out there, because they're familiar faces. Then I will tell you, there is another tier of those coaches that we have seen the importance of training our elementary school principals on how important literacy is, how to recognize deficits, how to train teachers and work with teachers, and be in the classroom with the kids helping with the literacy. So it's all hands on deck. So we're going to have a layer of coaches, one at each RESA, that will work with those principals to ensure that they understand not just how to be a principal, but how to teach reading inside that classroom of their school that they are directing. So you're talking 2 layers at the RESA. You got one working with the administration. That's 1 at each RESA, 16 of them, by the way. And then the next layer is going out, training, and doing the professional development. It's all defined out in here, just like we did with the school-based literacy coach, what that coach's responsibility is going to be and what their hiring qualifications are.
Thank you. Representative Lupton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hello, Chair Irwin.
Hey, Representative.
I love reading, so I'm very excited about this. I am looking at lines 166, that sort of, basically if a child is deemed to not be on a reading level at kindergarten or first, there's a determination by the principal, there can be an appeal, and then after a placement committee shall, prescribe for the child such accelerated, differentiated, or additional instruction as needed to perform at grade level by the conclusion of the subsequent school year. I'm assuming, but we know what happens when one assumes. I'm assuming that this means in school, during school day coaching, to catch this child up. Is that what I'm thinking? Not like, hey, we suggest you go get a tutor. Or is this going to be, hey, you're behind, we're going to be able to get this kid with a coach, 1 time a week or 2 times a week by themselves next year. Is that what this is talking about? Or is this like a summer program or after school sort of stuff?
It can be a summer school program. There is a lot of catch-up that can occur during summer school.
Yeah, okay.
Systems have been very successful with that in the past.
Okay.
But what I will tell you is this is provided by the state. This
Gotcha.
wouldn't be go get a tutor.
Yeah, okay.
We've got the expertise to do this.
To do it.
We have seen the deficit that the child has, and what can we do to move that needle for that child
Wonderful.
before they take their test in 3rd grade so they're on grade level.
Okay, wonderful. I want to I have a follow-up. I just want to say, again, thank you. I've shared before my daughter struggled with reading, but she wasn't failing her classes. She was getting all A's. In fact, I promise you she wouldn't have passed a screener, but the school was just like, well, she's not failing, so there's nothing we can do. And my husband and I were not in the position to pay for a private tutor at that point. We had to wait a couple years until we could pay for a private tutor because the school was like, we can't help you. We know she doesn't know her word sounds, her consonant sounds, but she's not failing. So I'm so excited that this could catch kids like that who are doing well enough but aren't actually reading well. My follow-up question is, we talked so much about the screeners and coaches and stuff last year that we established a foundation, like a layer. Can you clarify what is on top of that layer that we already made that's in this bill? It's so thick. What I'm seeing is that we've got this layer, and now there's going to be some leadership infrastructure going all the way up, a ladder up from the school system up to the state.
That is correct. Thank you, Representative. And yes, maybe let's talk global at the top. We've got a director of literacy at the Office of Student Achievement. And that director is going to be overseeing, that's the top of the umbrella, okay, and overseeing all of these efforts, okay. Then we've got a coordinator working right below that director in the Office of Student Achievement. And both those roles are defined in here too, very specifically at what they're going to do in their qualifications. So we have those two as far as the leadership that then will oversee down to the RESAs. And if you remember at RESA, I said there were 2 levels. So we're getting below the 2 there at the Office of Student Achievement, and we're down to working with the administrators, those level of coaches and their training and their job. And then below that, you have the trainers, we don't call them coordinators, regional literacy coaches, at the RESA level, and they're going out to the school to train the school-based, which is that next based within here. Now, this is a successful model that we've seen other states that are currently outrunning us in the effort of literacy do. So we've seen this model work successfully at other states. And so you start at the top, director, coordinator, then down to the regional leadership coaches, to the regional literacy coaches, and then the school-based literacy coaches.
Gotcha.
So you've got a hierarchy there, up and down, and information and communication. I think I need to state at this time, Representative, that we also have a task force that has put these screeners or they're charged with making sure that we have high-quality instructional materials such as screeners. And they will put, those task force are assigned of experts, and they will choose the high-quality instructional material by which all of this tiered system I showed you will be using. And they will meet regularly. And we have put some of that in place, but I will tell you that with technology and the understanding of reading, it's changing yearly. So we can't sit on our hands for 4 or 5 years and expect it to look like it did as far as good tools that are out there. So this is something that has to be done every year by this task force. They've got to be looking at, and they've got to be putting out good material and good tools for our teachers.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, Chairman Hilton.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Speaker John Burns, his beautiful bride. I am thrilled that we have drawn a line in the sand to say the fact that 2/3 of our students are not reading at grade level is unacceptable. And I am so glad that you've brought this to address that. This is an important day in our state right now. As you may know, I'm a single voter issue on this. And we've, Representative Carter, Speaker Pro Tem, addressed this issue. So I'm going to bring it up again just because I've got folks in the audience and a few thousand folks back home who are really interested in this answer. And I may even bug Ledge Counsel. He's playing solitaire or something over there. I don't know what he's doing. Yeah. I hope he's working hard. I got a few bills for him. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't pretend to be, but as I read this right here, I think this addresses, and I'm looking at, and it's been brought up before, specifically line 91, 92, and then lines 98, 99. And Mr. Chairman, as you know, in my home county, my folks right now are really struggling because they've been told, okay, you have a child who's 5 years old who's in pre-K today. That child, all of a sudden, when they turn 6, has got to skip kindergarten and go to first. And my folks are really upset about that. And you know me, I fight just as hard for my people as you do back home. And so help me sleep at night, help them sleep at night. Does this address their concerns?
Yes, absolutely. They're going into kindergarten. Okay. So the mud in the water was the ability to test up.
Okay.
But they're going into kindergarten.
Okay.
Okay, you good now?
I'm good.
You good now? Okay. Representative Howard.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you to Chairman for this great work. We've talked offline about one of my concerns, and you may have answered my question a couple of answers ago, when it comes to accountability for these coaches, literacy coaches. I understand the director of literacy and how it comes down to RESA, but after implementation, how do we measure success of the literacy coaches on an individual basis? How do we assess that? Will it be RESA? Will it be the principals? Or is there some other mechanism in place that we can know that we are being effective? We
have reporting requirements in here Legislative Council, if you look up those lines for me, that would help me in time as I answer the question. You know, we have become very good in education at looking at the data from our test. And we are getting better at becoming able to see what the screeners tell us in literacy. So we have put in place inside here the opportunity for data in these screeners to be passed up to us and used to not only decide where the student is at, but where the school is at. And ultimately can be transferred to the principal of the school. Principal schools have become very versed on using data and try to making decisions on what they need to work on and what staff development they need. Legislative Council, have you found a line item for us and looked that over for us?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, the reporting requirements for the screeners exist in a couple of places in the bill. The first one is starting on, the reporting requirements start on lines 291 and continue after that to 298. And then very similar language is repeated again on page 37, starting around line 940.
Yeah, I think 95, 96, 295, 296, and 297, 298. Representative will answer your questions right there. That you see that is reported. And again, educators have become very strong on using data and then trying to improve the efforts of the students and overall their school. Good question. Does that answer good enough for you?
Okay. Thank you. We've got a number of people who would like to speak to this bill, and I'm going, because we have so many of you, and we do have another bill to hear in this subcommittee today, I'm going to ask you to keep your remarks to about 2 minutes. If you can, that would be lovely. The first person we have up is Margaret Ciccarelli from Page.
Good afternoon. I'm Margaret Ciccarelli from PAGE, the Professional Association of Georgia Educators. We are grateful for this legislation that we believe is responsive to feedback that we have provided to many of y'all from PAGE surveys that indicate that Georgia educators support literacy initiatives. They supported Representative Ballard's and Chairman Hickman's literacy bills 2 years ago, and they found training valuable. However, what they would like assistance with is coaching in the classroom to take that learning and deliver high quality literacy instruction to students. So this bill is very responsive to that, and we think that that will be a great step to make sure that the training educators are receiving makes the difference in the classroom. So we appreciate that from an appropriations standpoint as well. We are creating a collector at PAGE that we can obtain feedback from educators on the literacy initiative, looking for their positive comments, the questions that they have, and any concerns that they have. We will share that with you throughout the committee process. Again, we are grateful for this and look forward to its evolution as it moves through. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Let's see, Beth Haynes.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm Beth Haynes. I am the state leader for Decoding Dyslexia Georgia, and primarily I want to thank you for this bill. Literacy coaches are a critical step for improving reading instruction in our state, and this program is strong and robust, and I think has all the elements really to succeed. But the success of the program is going to depend heavily on how well we train and prepare our coaches. Our teachers in the classrooms have to feel supported by, they have to have confidence in these coaches, and the coaches need to be deeply trained so that these teachers can have confidence in them. They can't feel like it's another level of supervision. These coaches are team players, and they're in the trenches with the teachers. That's the support that that, as Margaret said, that's what they're asking for, and that's what they need. We have states around us and districts and schools in Georgia that are doing this really well. So I hope that we will look to them and follow their lead, because there's no reason for us to reinvent the wheel. And we've heard for several years about fears over the shortage of literacy coach candidates. And it's been addressed a little bit here, but one of the things that we can do a little bit more quickly, I would hope, is not let another teacher prep program in Georgia go another week or month or semester with a program that is not preparing these teachers to teach reading. And there are some that aren't getting good grades, and it's some of our bigger programs, but it's the general education prep programs that don't have it together yet. But if you look over to their special ed prep programs, they're killing it. So it shouldn't be that hard to try to get everybody on board to be doing this the right way. We would love to see deep training in the science of reading and structured literacy in any return to work program for teachers. We'd love to see these coaches get their dyslexia endorsement, because that would elevate and bolster all of the work that they'll do for kids who are dyslexic or not. And as we're putting in place all of these wonderful measures for our K through 3 kids, we do hope that we can keep thinking about all of our kids in 4 through 12, because they deserve hope too, and most of them were taught to read without any of the measures that we are putting in place now. Just a little comment on the retention program. Not opposed to it in principle or absolutely, but I would hope that we would delay such program until we have substantially improved our classroom reading instruction and intervention. That's it. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Cosby Johnson.
Madam Chair, thank you for having us. Chairman, thank you for bringing the bill. We want to say from the City of Brunswick that we are completely in support of this piece of legislation and all of work that has been done. It is incredibly important to local communities, whether they're mayors or county commissioners here or not, that we ensure that every single child moving through our community is grown with the ability to read. So as you said, Mr. Chairman, they can dream. On the second piece, I'm up here because I have a mother who is a retired teacher. And during her time of being a retired teacher, she has opened up and worked a literacy program for our Parks and Rec department. Because of that work, having parents at the table, a part of these teams, is something that she's been working on for a long time. So I want to say thank you for including that in the bill, and thank you to the First Lady of the House for all of her work on this piece of legislation as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Jesse Long.
I want to start by expressing gratitude for this bill. I'm a proponent of mandating kindergarten. I'm also the son of a retired teacher, and I have a 6-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son. My daughter's kindergarten year was nothing short of amazing. I consider it fundamental for learning, and I wish the same experience for every child across our state. And as it turns out, my son has a September 1 birthday, so kindergarten starts the first week of August nowadays. Gwinnett County School Board has recently taken the position of placing children who are 6 directly into first grade, bypassing the important kindergarten year altogether. I will add that a few miles up the street in Johns Creek, Fulton County is not enforcing the same policy, and this bill seems to fix that issue. So again, thank you for that. I believe that nobody knows a child better than their parents. When their parents are registering a child for the first time in public school in the state of Georgia, the parent or guardian should have the choice on placement. And so obviously it's not my preference that my 4-year-old start kindergarten in August in Gwinnett this August, almost a full month ahead of his 5th birthday. Doing so would push him into school before he's fully ready, creating repercussions that could ripple through to high school or longer. And so when you track it years down the road, that's also a 17-year-old that's going off to college. So I strongly support mandating kindergarten. I feel even more strongly about the language in the bill that gives the right to parents to determine whether the age of 5 or 6 is most appropriate for their child. Extra developmental time will make a world of difference for the future of our youngest learners, the future of our state. So thank you again for all your hard work on this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sam Hoover.
Hey, I'm Sam Hoover. Madam Chair and members of the committee, thanks for your time. This is my son Liam. Say hi, Liam. Hi. Okay. Liam's 3 years old, and the chairman and Chair Hilton have already mentioned this as well as Jesse. We in Georgia as parents have had the discretion to put our 6-year-olds into kindergarten, especially those with late birthdays. Liam's birthday is in August. His older sister's is in July. She's in kindergarten right now. She's doing great. And then his little brother's at the end of August. So I have all 3 children at the end of summer, and our county, Gwinnett County, came down in October and said the message that we all understood and we took away from the county was that they were no longer going to allow this. Now they've softened their position a little bit since then, but as you can imagine, it worried many of us who had plans to do that. So we appreciate the language that's in the bill now, giving parents the discretion to start their late summer birthdays, especially in 6-year-olds into kindergarten. So it's really important for us, and we just feel that the counties, with the current state language, can, don't touch that, can use their discretion and the flavor of the week, so to speak, to interpret the current state language to say that they shouldn't allow 6-year-olds to enroll in kindergarten. So we appreciate that very much, and we support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Say thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have 2 more people to speak to this bill. Ashlyn Case, and then Jeremy Hendricks will be next.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the ability to speak to you this afternoon. I'm Ashlyn Case. I appreciate Scott's work and with our community and this opportunity to speak today. I also really appreciate this legislation and the change that was made regarding the portions that deal with kindergarten and first grade enrollment limits. I am the lucky mother of 4 sons. I have an 8-year-old, 6-year-old, 5-year-old, and 2-year-old. 3 of those boys have late summer birthdays. I am among thousands of parents across Georgia who have late summer birthday kids who have chosen to give them an extra year before starting kindergarten, allowing them more time to mature and develop. It's an incredibly appropriate and logical choice that's based on extensive research to support this decision, and it's one that only really a parent can make, that they truly understand. So my 2 oldest sons began kindergarten as newly 6-year-olds instead of newly 5-year-olds. They are both excelling. They are great readers, and they have confidence in the classroom, and I know it's something that was due to the choice that we had and that we made for them. We made that same choice or that same decision for our 3rd son, Ben, this school year. He would have still been 4 years old at the start, and we knew that he needed more time. Parents across the state advocate for this choice every year and expect that choice because they know whether their child is ready or not. So having clear language at that state level to clearly and importantly base it on what we've learned from the recent Gwinnett County policy change, I think is vital. My family and we believe so strongly in the public school system. And we also understand that children need to be prepared to be independent and ready to sit in a classroom for 7 hours in order to learn and excel. I encourage you all to maintain clear language for an age enrollment flexibility, supporting parent choice, for giving these summer birthday children the gift of time so they may start their school career successfully. Thank you for all of your time and your work on this very important bill. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Jeremy Hendricks.
Thank you, committee members, for allowing us come to speak today. I have my son, Luca, here. He is a rising kindergartner as well, and we are victims of the Gwinnett County change that they've had. I know you folks have probably heard about it. Forgive me as I also kind of modify my remarks as I go. I had some other ones to ask for changes to the bill, but I got to say, I was so pleasantly surprised I don't have any changes I need from it. Like, it is amazing what you are doing, and especially in this political climate where we can see everybody get behind one cart and push in the same direction is amazing. I really, really appreciate that, and it makes my heart happy as a citizen, I've got to say, just seeing that happen. Literacy is something we can all get behind. I am the son of 2 retired educators. I think we have a lot of educators and children of educators here as well, so that education was instilled in me at a young age. But what we're seeing with Gwinnett County here is they're not above using our kids as pawns to play a funding game. We were told basically they made this snap decision because it boils down to more funding for our kids. So more or less, our kids would have a hugely detrimental effect to their schooling just so they could get a few more dollars in the coffers of Gwinnett County. So I want to again thank the committee, thank the chairman. Thank you again, Representative Hilton, for fighting for us, your constituents. I know there's a lot in this bill that we all agree with, and specifically this part that you're fighting for as well for us. But I definitely want to thank you all for the work you're doing for our kids' education here.
Okay, thank you so much. And I don't see any more questions, so I'm going to go ahead and call on Chairman Chokas again.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is my honor to move to pass HB 1193, LC 492629S.
Okay, we've got a motion to pass and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, don't see any. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, you are on to full committee.
Thank you, member, and thank you for your attentiveness and your study of this. This is, again, something we can't fail at and something we can't ignore. So, in closing, if you let me, Madam Chair, say this one thing. And I'm going to say this to you more than once. Imagine doing this job that you're doing, representatives, if you could not read on grade level, or as a representative level, I will call it. Would this job be more difficult than it currently is for you? I want you to think about those children that aren't reading on grade level in the classroom. That is their job. It becomes difficult. I want to point one other thing out. As a superintendent, I do not ever recall a student that was a very good reader ever tell me school was difficult. And let me go reverse. I do not remember a kid that could not read or struggled reading that didn't tell me school was difficult. So we need to make it where all children are telling their parents and the community, school's not that difficult, and I'm dreaming bigger, so thank you.
Thank you so much for bringing this bill. Okay, we've got one more bill to hear. It's HB 310 by Representative Alallier, and he's going to be talking to us about a group of people who read really well, our college kids who are in teacher prep programs. And when you get situated, if you would give us the LC number that you have.
Happy to. Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. Good afternoon. I'm reading off of the substitute LC 492630S.
Okay, that's what we've got.
All right. Well, good afternoon again. Presenting House Bill 310, a bill that we heard last year in committee. And this bill is short and sweet. It's focused on keeping our best and brightest teachers in the pipeline when they need support the most. I'll lead off with a figure, 5,358. And I'll say that figure again, 5,358. That's the number of teacher vacancies in Georgia classrooms as of just a few months ago, December 2nd. And so Georgia's teacher shortage is real, and graduating and retaining qualified educators is essential to closing that gap. HB 310 provides up to a $5,000 grant to student teachers with demonstrated financial need during their unpaid student teacher semester. It also includes a lot of the work that happened between last year and this year was finding ways to help ensure or create a hook that not only student teachers would complete the program, but stay and enter the profession within a Georgia public high school. And so the bill also includes a $2,500 one-time signing grant. And again, this would be applicable to those same students once they complete their program and begin teaching in a Georgia public school. And so this program, the bill goes on to specify and really shrink the zone of the pilot participants, who those participants would be. This would be a 2-3 year pilot. It's targeted, it's accountable, it's capped, would serve a maximum of 500 student teachers. On average, we currently have 3,000 student teachers going through the program every single year. And so it's a step in the right direction. And over the past year, I've had the pleasure of having many conversations with student teachers. I know a few of those student teachers are here today, and they're talented, they're committed, they care deeply about education and our children. But the barriers to entry are real as well. These are full-time working students in many cases. They have to pay rent, they have to pay gas, they have to pay tuition. And so they're juggling quite a lot in addition to a full-time unpaid internship, which the student teaching program is. And so this bill will lead to better outcomes for our children and will lead to more prepared and supported teachers and ultimately remove a real barrier, strengthen the teacher pipeline, and improve learning conditions for every student that they will serve. And so with that, that's the bill. Thank you again, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to present it, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Madam Pro Tem, I think you pushed your button first. Okay. Was it? Okay. 16. Who's number 16? Okay, Representative Carter.
Thank you, Madam Chair Lady. At the appropriate time.
Okay. Okay, just a minute. I love it. You beat Chairman Chokas. Look at you. Oh, well then. Okay, Madam Pro Tem.
Yes, and thank you for your interest in this and in increasing the teacher pipeline. I had a few concerns that I would like you to consider. Yep. And by concerns, I mean maybe there might be some changes that could make it better. So you and I have talked about this. The House and the legislature have passed, in my time, quite a few grant programs in which we ask our agencies to put together a program, but they're never funded. Yep. Which could happen to this. And so I would want to make sure that we made it very compelling. And I appreciate that you term limited it and you limited the number, because if we did fund 500, that'd be, I think, about $2.5 million, excluding the grants. Which, are you intending that it would be up to 500 grants of the signing bonus grants of 2,500?
If they sign an employment contract and make it to day 30 of that contract.
Okay, so that could be another, I don't know, about half of that. So 3.67 million total if we funded it in the appropriations. So I see that there are two requirements to qualify for the student teaching grant. One, they have to be eligible to participate in federal Pell Grant program, so it's means tested.
Correct.
And number two, they have to be, I'm not sure what actively engaged and in good standing, but they have to be actively engaged and in good standing in their program. But they could be, when you mention 5,000, we have a shortage of 5,000 teachers, 5,358. Just from working on these kind of issues in the past, that's not necessarily all over the state. I mean, usually it's in certain fields and it's in certain geographical areas.
Yep.
I remember talking with the Professional Standards Commission on this issue a number of times, and they've told me there's no shortage of certain fields, particularly in large metropolitan areas. But you go to some of the rural areas and you just can't find, you can't find math teachers. You can't find physics teachers anywhere. And that would be something I would suggest that the committee, if you're doing something long-term, that you direct the monies to areas that we actually have a need for and a shortage. That would be one. And the same with respect to the signing bonus. If you're going in a field that's in demand, and I'm not sure why you need a signing bonus. You're going to get hired. It seems like it would be better to have folks who are non-standard teachers, that are coming in outside of our pipeline to fill really shortage fields like math, like physics, like computer science, whatever the area is, as opposed to just leaving it open-ended. I don't have a problem with the means testing because I think your goal is to help them, be able to get through to the end of their program.
That's correct.
Of course, we are talking at the same time with the governor's needs-based scholarship, which may make this not necessary if we do that, because or maybe it needs to specify you get one or the other, but not both. Because it doesn't appear, for example, that there's any other limitations other than Pell eligible and in good standing. What if you have a full tuition board scholarship to a college? I'm not sure just because you're Pell eligible that you need to get an additional grant on top of that, layered on top. Because I think a laudable goal is to help people afford to get to the end game. But those are just some thoughts I had when I read it over. I don't think the concept's fine, but maybe a little more working it, massaging it to make sure, one, that if we do fund it, I think it increases the odds of you getting it funded if it's being directed not just to students who need it, but also to areas that Georgia needs. Anyway, those are just my thoughts that I'd like for you to consider.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Pro Tem.
Representative Lupton.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for bringing the bill. Is this, where would the money for this sit?
So the program would be administered by the Student Finance Commission. So the first grant, that up to $5,000 would be administered by the Student Finance Commission, and they already have staffing set up to administer and manage like programs. So we didn't want to create any additional kind of staffing costs.
Right.
And then the signing grant would be administered by the Department of Education.
Oh, okay. And we talked a little bit about this. How did you come up with the signing grants and the grants? How did that come up?
There are dozens of other states that have similar programs, and to Madam Pro Tem's point, they layer on top of the stipend for participating and completing the student teaching portion. They provide an additional incentive on top of the signing grant for high need areas and high need subjects.
Okay.
And so, again, we don't have to recreate the wheel. There are other states that have similar programs that, they've vetted and tested just the success of both completion rates for student teachers, but also retention rates for those student teachers who enter our classrooms. And we know it's not a matter of just getting them in the classroom, but keeping them in the classroom when the attrition rate is 50% within 5 years of teaching. And so the Professional Standards Commission has reams of information and research around how retention rates greatly increase if a teacher has gone through a standard education curricula in college, including that student teaching portion.
Okay, great, thank you. I just one more thing. We pass a lot of things, and not all of them are funded. I think this is a good thing to fund.
Thank you. I do too.
Representative Carter, back to you.
Okay, thank you. I just needed some clarifications just because of some of the testimony that was going forward. If I understood the kind of the context around this legislation was to provide some compensation for student teachers that, because they're in the classroom, maybe not necessarily able to work outside of that. So was that some part of the motivation for providing the stipend?
Yes, both to help support those student teachers, to Madam Pro Tem's earlier point, complete the program. But a few years ago, if you look at enrollment data, we have, where are these figures? Let's say roughly 350,000 students enrolled across the university system, 97,000 of which roughly 40% are Pell eligible. They're not even looking at the major because it's cost prohibitive to complete the program. And so it's not only helping students that are currently majoring in education and have to complete their in-classroom practicum, but other students who could equally be as passionate about wanting to teach, but are looking at that student teacher curriculum and saying, you know what, I'm a working student. I work 2 jobs. I can't complete 500 hours. I mean, it's a full 40-hour-a-week, full semester program on top of 2 jobs. And I was a Pell Grant recipient as a college student. It covered books and tuition, but it's a lot more costly today than it was 20 years ago when I was a college student. And so it's not enough. And so, yes, it would help both student teachers complete the program, but I would hope incentivize and make more attractive the education major for those students who are interested, but may look at the majors being cost prohibitive.
May I a follow-up to another part of it?
One more, and then we've got some people to speak to the bill.
Thank you, because I'm asking a question, not testifying. The other question about the sign-on bonus, but as I listen to it and read through this, it sounds like it's a workforce development opportunity. Is this also an opportunity for us to keep the students that we trained in our school system? Is that kind of the motivation behind that?
That was the intent, yes.
Thank you.
I want to know where you get to be a student teacher and you just work the 40 hours a week, because I surely remember way more than 40 hours a week when I was doing my student teaching. 40 hours in the school and then at least 4 to 5 more at home every night. We have a few people to speak to the bill. Robert Aycock from Page, you are first. And Solomon Clemens, you are on deck.
My name is Robert Aycock with the Professional Association of Georgia Educators, and I would just like to start by briefly thanking Representative Lallier for bringing this bill, and thank you all for considering it. As he said, the traditional education program, including student teaching, provides a wealth of benefits to the people who go through it, provides highly qualified teachers who actually they've shown have higher retention rates in the long term, so better for the schools as well. Unfortunately, that same traditional path does present some kind of unique challenges with student teaching. If you're a working student, maybe lower income, and you've been working your way through school, the math has been barely mathing, and you reach that student teaching requirement, all of a sudden you have that full-time unpaid thing right there. You can't work your paying job, the math no longer maths, and it's sometimes where people are not able to complete the program. We actually got to meet with several students at Georgia State who are going through things right now, and it was heartbreaking to hear both their passion, but then also the struggles that oftentimes are preventing barriers for them to going into teaching and living out that passion to serve students. And we think that HB 310 provides both a way to support the most at-need student teachers while also further strengthening the educator pipeline by adding those signing grants. There are unfortunately some people who do complete and graduate EPP programs who do not go into the program, and we like to think that those signing grants add kind of like an extra hook and a way to keep that talent in Georgia and keep people in the teaching field. And most importantly, we think HB 310 creates a very measured and targeted pilot program and allows us to study the effectiveness of such a program, so then we can possibly modify it, change it, whatever needs to be made if we want to continue it in the future. And with that, happy to take any questions and just ask for your favorable consideration.
Don't see any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Solomon Clemens.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. I am Solomon Clemens, and I am a sophomore aspiring educator at Morehouse College. It is an honor to speak on the House Bill 310 and the impact it will have as I approach my senior year, where I will step into the classroom as a student teacher. For those unfamiliar, student teaching is a full-time responsibility that prevents students from holding jobs. Students from underrepresented communities like myself and first-generation college students are forced to choose between financial survival and completing certification requirements. This limbo serves as a direct barrier to the motivation of prospective educators that plan to empower our future leaders of Georgia. If there's one thing that kids need more of, it's connection. Most importantly, connection with teachers that can understand them holistically. With that being said, unpaid student teaching has disproportionately impacted college students from lower income backgrounds, many of whom represent the very students that suffer from that lack of connection. Removing financial barriers ensures that passionate future teachers are not prevented from entering the profession simply because they cannot afford to complete the required student teaching experience. Providing financial support ensures that the teaching workforce better reflects the communities and students it serves. Our rising generation needs us, and House Bill 310 is a long-term investment in our communities and future leaders. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last speaker to this bill, Skylar Nunley.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Representative Olalier, for bringing forth the bill and for the committee for hearing it. My name is Skylar Nunley. I work with the Georgia Association of Educators, and I'm also a former U.S. history teacher that has recently completed student teaching. I say recently very loosely. It was within the last 10 years. But I really, because I don't want to touch on the facts that have already been addressed, I want to bring up a realistic schedule of student teaching. And I still have the eye bags from 8 years ago to prove it. I would wake up at around 5 a.m. I would get to my school at 6 to work a before-school program for 2 hours. I would then travel across town because I was not allowed to participate in student teaching in an area that I was already being paid. I was paid in this school district. I had to go to a different one. So I would do my student teaching. That would last until around 4 p.m., after which I would sleep, usually in my car, sometimes in the student center for a couple of hours because I then had night classes and commitments that I had to finish. On odd days, I would then go home, do homework, and then on even days, I would go work a midnight shift at the gas station just so I could be able to not pay for tuition because I was fortunate enough to have a privilege that most students don't. I have my tuition covered through scholarships. That was simply for me to afford to live. for me to pay for rent, for me to pay for my excuse me, my expenses, having to be prepared, having to be fed, having to be present at a school that was about 25 miles away. And most of my peers were not able to get the scholarships that I had. I saw them struggling with the same and much higher levels of cost to do the same profession as me, and a bill like House Bill 310 will allow them to get over the finish line, to be able to cover those life expenses, to be able to not focus on survival during student teaching, but actually focus on preparing for the classroom. We heard earlier that the attrition rates for those who complete a traditional higher ed program are much lower, and I fear that if we do not start making initiatives like House Bill 310, we will continue to de-incentivize our higher ed programs of education and continue fast-tracking, looking for alternative certifications, and putting more people into a situation of teaching whenever they are less prepared, whenever they are less trained, and that is only going to affect our Georgia students. So I would urge you all to consider House Bill 310 and to support our student teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions from the committee? Number 25, is that you, Chairman?
Yes, ma'am, just at the appropriate time.
Okay. Let's see, got one more blinking light. Person Lupton, are you 17? I can't remember numbers, yeah.
Well, yeah, and they're all falling off up here. So I got to look at that one to know which one I am. Are there any? I know we've got a motion on the table to take up the question. Are you amenable to any sort of friendly amendments to make things, to shift things around, like narrowing that focus of teachers, or are you happy with the bill as is?
It depends on the specific amendment, but always open to making the better.
Yeah, I don't know
stronger.
how to do this. I'm just asking.
Yeah, any specific suggestion or amendment?
Well, I was thinking of the pro tem's suggestion to narrow the focus of teacher to teachers that are especially high need, i.e. science, i.e. math. But from what we just heard in the testimony, it seems like you could be teaching English. It doesn't matter. You're still broke as a joke when you're a student teacher.
Yeah, and without having any data tied to the 5,000 plus vacancies, I don't want to address an issue that may not be there, but I'm open. Yeah.
Okay, Madam Pro Tem.
I would just suggest that maybe as it goes through the process, you get that data, because Professional Standards has it. They do it with regard to the retirement bill that was it your original bill? I think that they know, at least by RISA, where it's pretty. There's a common thread there. I mean, special needs, math, science. There are some exceptions in some RISAs where maybe they lost their one, teacher in one school, but it is knowable. And you mentioned that there's reams of data. If you could supply us with that, maybe at the next level, the data that you have from other states that provide similar programs, I would appreciate that as well.
Happy to. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Carter, are you back to your original motion? Or are you asking a question? It is. Okay, you had that motion a long time ago. Okay.
Thank you. Chairman, you can second.
Okay. So we have a motion, Chairman Irwin, you second.
I would like to, I want to make sure we're moving on the right one.
Okay.
I'd like to move that we do pass HB 310, LC 492630S.
Okay, we got a motion, we've got a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Okay, motion passes. You're on to full committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, committee.
And we are adjourned.